big with 2 G's. I'm going to repeat that. That's big with 2 G's. So we back with another episode of the BiGG Umbrella Podcast. I'm going to repeat that. That's big with 2 G's, the BiGG Umbrella Podcast. And we at the Alliance Gym in Mira Mesa. And we got Gio.
What's up, everyone? How we doing?
Doing pretty good. We up bright and early at the Alliance Gym. Never been here myself, but pleased to definitely be here. We got the trainer, one of the trainers at Alliance Gym here, and we're gonna definitely just go over a little bit about what it's like being a trainer here, and also who he is, and who he's about. Because like we know, everybody has a story, so that can help out for somebody else. What part of San? Well, no, you're not from San Diego. Where are you initially from?
So originally, I'm from LA. More specifically, this place called Silmar. It's in the San Fernando Valley. And I grew up there basically, from little, like 10 to like 18. And then as soon as I turned 18, I was just like, I've had it. I've had enough of the Valley. I've had enough of being here. And I joined the Marine Corps. And when I did it, I didn't tell my parents.
Oh, damn. No. That was just off a whim. He was like, hey, I'm not going to tell you guys, but...
I think I was leaning more towards it already. But when I had made the decision, I knew that, like, my mom especially did not support it whatsoever. So, I did everything on my own. I talked to recruiters. I got, the contract. I got basically enlisted. And then one morning I just kind of left, and I left like super early in the morning. I came back super late at night. My mom was freaking out. She thought like I got kidnapped or ran away or something. And then
at the time, did you have a cell phone or anything to tell them?
No, man. Like this is like back in the day. Like, well, no, I had a cell phone, but I didn't call her because I was literally at like the recruiting office or the station like all day. And so I came back, and then she was already upset. And then when I told her, man, she got even more upset.
Of course. Now she's like, wait, at first I thought you was kidnapped. Yeah. Now you actually back, but now you're leaving again.
But now you're leaving. And so I'm like, and it was one of those things where I felt like it's something I had to do for myself because I felt like I wasn't growing where I was. So at the time, coming out of high school, I think that's a tricky period for a lot of people, and college just wasn't sitting well. I tried it. I made an attempt, and I felt that like my calling or where I felt like I would do well at was in the military, and so once I did that, it's like it just went flash right by. Next thing you know, I'm coming out here to San Diego to go to boot camp. Then boot camp goes by, and now I'm graduating, and then I'm getting sent off to like Mississippi. Then I end up in the Carolinas, and flash forward 9 years later, I found myself back here in San Diego, and I was just like, you know what? I like it here. I'm going to set up roots, and I'm not going back home. So now I'm official San Diegan.
Yeah. What made you even choose the Marine Corps instead of like any other branch in military or the military at all?
So my rationale at the time was that if I'm going to join the military, especially like during a time of war, that I should join the people who are like best trained, so apart from say like, I don't know, like the Green Berets, the SEALs, whatever, it was the Marines. And so I was like, okay, well, those guys they're tough and they know their shit, and they're one of like the fiercer fighting branches. So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna join them because I don't want to be like on a ship in the Navy, and then what happens when we get boarded? They don't know how to fight. They're fucked. And then like the Army, it depends where you go. If you go to just some normal unit in the Army, good luck. Because they don't know how to fight. They're just there to get paid. Not everyone in the military is an actual rifleman.
Right.
I think people forget that. And to a degree in the Marines as well, but at least in the Marines, like they're better trained, like doesn't matter if you're working in an office, doesn't matter if you're a mechanic, everyone knows how to shoot. And for me being in the military, having to be around those people, I would much rather be around the people who know how to shoot their rifle than the guy who's like inserting their magazine upside down, which is a real thing. Like I've seen that. So yeah, that's why I chose the Marine Corps.
Okay. And how do you feel that worked out for you in the end? Do you feel you made the right decision?
Yeah, man, it was a ride. I had a very unique experience because
unique outside of what the usual experience would be.
Yeah.
And why is that?
Because I didn't like what I did. So
What did you do?
I worked an administrative job.
Okay.
I worked in flight operations.
Okay.
And I hated it. Like absolutely hated it. And because when I joined the Marine Corps, I had this image of what a Marine was. I thought every Marine was like kicking doors down, spraying machine guns, fucking rescuing people.
Yeah.
You know.
And you in the office.
And now I'm in the office doing Excel. And I'm just like, what I do in my life? And for a moment, you know, I got really like, I don't know, depressed, or I got really like, you know, sad on myself. Like, woe is me. What did I do? I fucked up my life.
And especially since you already had this vision of what it was supposed to look like. And now it's not what you're actually doing.
Exactly. So there's this huge conflict of like identity, you know, like I wanted to do this one thing, to be this one person, and now I'm not. So I'm just really pissy. And fortunately, I met some people who I looked up to a lot. It was Sergio Esquivel, Joseph Souza. I still remember those guys today. They were at the time they were sergeants, and they were an adjacent unit. So they weren't necessarily in my unit, but they were adjacent to me.
Right, close enough.
Yeah. And so what they did is they made their transition to recon. And so recon in the Marine Corps is like the special forces equivalent. Right? Like you got to be like a hardcore dude, like the same stuff you would think of, like, I don't know, like the Navy SEALs, like swimming in the ocean, getting sandy on the beach, doing like long night patrols and doing all the crazy like military hazing you think of. Like that was them. Right? And so that's who I aspired to be like. And so it was at that point like, cool, the next 3 years of my career, I'm going to dedicate myself to that. And so I got really out of shape at that time. I got into really good shape. You know, like I was able to put a 3 mile down in like 19 minutes. I did my 20 pull-ups. I was swimming. I didn't know how to swim that good. So I became like the highest level certifiable within there. And I made myself as much of an asset so that when I made that transition, I could, you know, be someone. And for a moment, I did that. You know, I went 2012. I went to the Special Forces selection for the Marine Corps. It was from January to March, and it's wild. You know,
that's
like,
an experience, huh?
That's an experience, bro. Because like it's everything you think of when you think of like the military, like secret scroll type training. And so, yeah, man, like one of the things they make you do is they make you do land navigation, right? It's a core fundamental skill. You need to be able to go from point A to point B.
With a map or?
With a map and a compass. But they stick you in the freaking jungles of North Carolina. So like, you're not just like out there like, oh, I'm going to walk from here to there. No, like you're trudging. Like I remember like there's just like big flowing river and a log. And it was a good maybe like 15 feet. But it was kind of like you need to get over that log, and that log was sketchy as fuck. And if you fell down, like that's it. Like you're probably getting swept away. And like guys would like be climbing, and then they would fall, and like one of the dudes ended up getting knocked out. Like his backpack hit him in the back of the head.
But there's somebody there to help you.
No, there's no one there.
You get knocked out and carried down the river.
Yeah, you get
carried down the river.
It's a GPS tracker. Like that's how they keep track of you. And at the end of the training day, then they'll go consolidate.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So you got to get out of them trenches if you get in them.
Exactly. And you're not doing like little, like, I don't know, a couple 100 meters. No, these are like 3-5 kilometers at a time. So that translates into like about 2 miles and some change through like dense wooded area.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So it was intense. And
how long was the training?
The selection all in all took about 3 months. So it's a 3-month tryout.
3-month tryout.
A 3-month tryout. And there's phases. So there's like different cuts. So to even make it to the final cut and to be selected just to go to the school, which is a whole another fucking selection process. Like that was big. That was definitely one of my highlights. Like I was very proud of that.
Yeah.
And so I make it, I get selected. And I go to ITC in May. And so the individual trainers course, this is like 2012. Yeah, May 2012.
Is this one just as intense, or this is like kind of took a little?
No, this is it now. This is the actual thing. So that was just the warm up.
So the crazy fucking warm up, but a warm up.
Yeah, and so like over there, like man, like everything you do. So like when you're at the training compound, you run everywhere. And for like, depending on like how well your team does or your platoon does, you might have to like carry a dummy. I'm pretty sure we had a dummy just by default. I think we had a dummy by default. Just by default, you have to carry a dummy because they're just, everything is training nonstop. So like you run from the barracks to the schoolhouse, you're running. From the schoolhouse to the cafeteria.
No walking.
Exactly, no walking. You're running everywhere. And then like it's every morning, 4 a.m. Wake up. Work wherever in like big PT, so physical training by like 5 a.m. And so your day is not done until maybe like 6 p.m. right?
So and you get up at 4 to start the run, and then you still got to go to physical training after that.
Oh, the running is while you're commuting because you don't have cars.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And so like so like it's nonstop, and it's everything from like physical training to like tactics instruction, to military leadership, to like more like the secret scroll type stuff. Like I did, that's where you do your survival school. So the survival school is this scenario where they teach you how to survive in the wilderness, and then they teach you like how to survive like hostage situations. And so like they put you in a mock scenario where you have to navigate like late at night, like you just like you broke out of somewhere, like you got hit, boom, you got to break out, and now you're on the run. And so like you're in like the
and
woods.
There are people like actually after you.
They send role players,
right?
And so like you're at like the middle of the woods, like pitch black at night.
Yeah,
no flashlight, no nothing, right? Because like you just broke out, and light is a thing. Like light travels very far, so it's not like you're just like using a flashlight to navigate, because that would just reveal your position.
Right.
So you're in the middle of the dark and you're navigating, and you gotta go from checkpoint to checkpoint, and they're like, all right, now go here. And then like there's a section where like they take you through the city, and you learn how to blend in like an urban setting.
Oh damn.
So
it sounds like a goddamn video game,
bro. I'm telling you, it's fucking wild. And so then like it ends with you getting captured, and then you're like in a POW camp.
Okay.
And so then you got to resist the indoctrination, and you got to sabotage the fucking whatever it is they're having you do.
Yeah.
And then you plan an escape, and then you got to break.
And you have to plan the escape.
It's like they kind of push you in the right direction.
Okay.
You're like, all right. It's like, all right, we're not looking. We're gonna be gone from this time to this time. I hope you guys don't leave. You're like, okay,
right.
that's
we'll
our cue
here.
Yeah. And then you link up with like a friendly force, and then you get extracted, right? And so that's just one section of the training.
And for you to get through that section, did that take you multiple times, or you got through that
one time? You
damn.
get one time.
Oh wow!
Because the attrition rate at these schools, whether it's the Army Special Forces, the Navy, the Marines, Air Force, doesn't matter. The attrition rate at these schools is high. So our class graduated like 42 out of 80.
Damn.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Like, but it has to be that way because like these guys are
they
like
want the best of the best,
the top, right? And I remember having this moment when we're doing our amphibious section in Florida. You know, and one of the gunnery sergeants had said something. It was like, hey, there's 200,000 Marines in the Marine Corps. There's 80 of you. Act like it. And I was like, yeah, you fucking right, bro. Like, yeah, like
this means something.
This means something. Like to be here, whether you graduate or if you wash out, you know, like you are still a high quality individual within the Marine Corps to even attempt to be there and, you know, do the thing, you know, because like it's not like normal Marines want to sign up for this. No, a lot of normal Marines, they're cool with just doing their job, going back to their room, playing Xbox, drinking beer. You know, your average, I think at the time I was like 22, 23. They don't want to do that. They want to go party, you know? And here I was like freezing my butt off in the woods or drowning in the ocean, you know, because here I thought I wanted to live this life of a commando, you know, and for a time I did, you know, and not only that, the first time I went through, I washed out, and they gave me another opportunity, but they gave me the stipulation: you have to start again at phase 0. And I was like, I'll do it. So without any hesitation, I made it 75% the first time, and then I failed. And then they gave me another chance, but I had to start back at 0.
Right.
And understand that this pipeline is about 7 months. So it's a 7-month training pipeline to get through this course.
God damn. So you have to start back over to 7 months.
Yeah.
What made you, like, as you already knew, what made you want to take the harder route, extraneous route of the military?
I don't know, man. I think I'm just crazy. Because it's the same thing with fighting. It's like,
that's what I'm like. Well, how like, you already knew all this shit was gonna happen, and this, but you still was like, hey, you know what? Yeah, I want to do that.
Yeah. I think I just maybe I'm just crazy. I don't know. Maybe deep down inside I am. Maybe I have a screw loose. But I think it appeals to me because the idea of like working at some corporation and doing the commute and fake smiling with all these people and going to happy hour, I'm just like, it's gross. It really people look at me like I'm weird, and I look at them like they're the weird ones. I'm like, you fight and you're in the military. Why would you ever want to do all that, bro? Why do you want to go to happy hour? Like, is your life that dull that happy hour is the thing that makes you happy? You know, or whatever the thing is. I don't know, fucking disc golf or fucking pickleball, whatever
it is. It's like this. Yeah, that's for them, and this is for you.
Yeah, you know. So it is what it is, you know. But yeah, I think I've just always been drawn to that. I think I've always had this idea that I want to be some sort of fighter, warrior type person. Yeah, I don't know when that happened, but it did, and I just ran with it.
So when you got to that 75%, what was the breaking point that made you like fizzle out?
I failed one of the evaluations. So we have this thing that's called Raider Spirit. It's a 10-day training operation, and it's full dress rehearsal. So you start off in mission planning, right? They give you this whole scenario, and from start to finish, you're in the scenario for 10 days. And so after you do the mission planning, then you get flown out in like the helicopter, and then they fly you to an LZ. They drop you in the LZ in the middle of the night, and you start your infiltration patrol. And then from there, it's just scenario after scenario after scenario after scenario for 10 days straight. And for the first 4 days, you don't sleep. You're just moving. Move to this target, hit the target, do the mission, and then collect your intel, use the intel that you gather to run more missions. Because that's how it works in real life. Right. Like the special forces community, they're independent, right? They don't work with the big military. They kind of just let them go on their own, and then like they just get very little supervision. So they're out there running their own off. So when they go hit a target, they exploit the area, they find whatever intel they can, right? And then that fuels the next operation. And it's just, they keep running that. So it's called the ops intel cycle. And they're just constantly doing that on loop, on repeat.
So then that second time around, after you got to 75, obviously now the second time around, you were able to finish it.
Oh man, so this is heartbreaking because the second time around, I was doing really well. Now I got it dialed in. Like I know what I'm doing. I feel a lot more confident. You know, I'm getting good evaluations from my teammates because the teammates will rank you. Like if you suck, they're like, bro, you suck. You need to get out of here. Right. But if you're doing good, they want you on the team. Right. And so the second time around, I was doing really well, like crushing it. The portion that I failed before, I passed it. Right. And then when it got to the weapons phase is actually the thing I did really well at. Like when it came to shooting, man, like my group's like tight. So like I could shoot. And
when it comes to shooting, was it shooting all type of guns or was it certain?
Oh, we shot all the guns, man. Okay. All the guns. The little guns, big guns, guns that go whack, 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 whack. Yeah, it's called the Mark 19. It's a machine gun grenade launcher.
Wow.
Yeah, if you ever go to like those like little kid arcades, they have that skee ball that shoots out the clown's teeth. Yeah, it makes that thunk sound. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Thunk, 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 thunk.
But that outcome is more of like a boom.
And then a few more seconds later, whack, whack, like in the distance, you just like explosion. Yeah. So that was really cool. That was like one of my favorite times. Right. Same thing with the 50 caliber. Like if shooting a 50 caliber machine, first off, if you're not familiar, like a 50 caliber bullet's like that big. Right. And the gun itself is fucking as tall as I am. and it's always mounted on something. So you're
it's just that powerful.
Yeah, and just fucking butterfly grip. So like you just get behind it, and it sounds like a laser gun. I don't know how to describe it. It sounds like a laser. The way it shoots and how fast it's going, it sounds like lasers. It doesn't even sound like a real gun. But yeah, so I did the shooting package, and the shooting package was like my favorite part. Like,
right.
I crushed that part. But ironically, that was also my downfall.
How so?
So the day that I got dropped, we were doing what's called transition drills. So we're at the point now where we're working from rifle to pistol. And so when you're shooting the rifle, when your rifle goes click, right, and you have a mushy trigger, you got to go to your pistol, right? So bang, 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 click, pull out the pistol. And the standard over there is your transition from the moment you go mushy on the trigger is 1.2 seconds.
Holy shit.
So from the moment I go click, I have 1.2 seconds to get my gun out and put a shot on target, right? And they
put a shot on it.
Yeah, and they evaluate you. Like they put you on the timer. So like if you ever see those like 3-gun competitions or like pistol competitions where they work from the holster and they pull it out and go bang, 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 right? That's what we did for 8 hours a day.
God damn, 8 hours.
Yeah, man. And in fact, like the first couple of days, you don't even get to shoot. You're literally, it's called dry fire. You practice for 8 hours your draw. Just out, click, put it back, out, click, put it back. Right. And so you get it fast. And dude, like I can pull that bitch out and like put you dead center. You know what I mean? Like less than 1.2 seconds. So it's the end of the day, and the procedure on the range is to present as if you're gonna shoot, because I guess they want you to get reps. So you present on target, you run through the thing. Okay, I'm empty, magazine out, gun's clear, right? And then you put it back out, and you have to shoot on an empty chamber, because if there was a bullet in the chamber, it would go off in a safe direction. So when I go click, I'm like, bang. And without hesitation, I shot my gun, because I was so drilled to have that click. Oh, I go pistol. Yeah. And my gun goes off. And that was a huge no-no, because that was the end of the day. And
so at this point, you were just supposed to be doing the dry shooting.
We were just supposed to be unloading. And so here I am, unloading, click, bang. And then like right away, I knew I fucked up.
And that was the only chance. And they were like, okay,
that was it. And then I like literally like in a movie, I just started like, I was like, no. And I dropped to my knees, and I was just like, cause I knew, I was like, that was it. Like all this time.
After I did another whole 7 months.
All of it. That's it. That was the end of the ride. You know? And then from then on, I just got really like pissy, you know? I was really salty about that for a while, to be honest. Cause like I was there. Right. And I missed it.
So then what happened after that?
So yeah, you know, did the paperwork, whatever. They're like, hey, you know, you're getting dropped, whatever. And they send you to this like platoon where it's like the land of misfits, where it's like you don't really have a real job, but you just kind of do like random stuff for the unit because they don't have a spot for you. Right. And so I was there for, I don't know, like 6 months almost. And in that time, you know, I think I was like, you know what, I'm going to take this opportunity to not be down on myself, and I'm going to go party, because for the last 3-4 years, I had been just strictly dedicated to what I was doing. And I learned how to like go salsa and bachata dance. Yeah. And then like ironically,
where were you at when you was doing?
I was in the Carolinas. Okay. And I went to this place called the Orlando Salsa Congress. Okay. And I saw these two people, and when people watch like social dancing, if they're not familiar, they probably think that it's like choreographed, like they're doing a routine. But the reality is that like these two people, they don't know each other. You know, one was from like New York and the other was from like, I don't know, somewhere on the West Coast. Exactly. I think San Francisco. Right. And they just met, and they threw this freestyle down, and they were just crushing. Like you would think like they took months to rehearse this. No, and that's just off the cuff. And I was mind blown. I thought that was fascinating. Yeah. I want to be able to do that, you know? And so then flash forward till now, now I feel like I'm at that level where I can do that. Just I rock up someone else who's equally as skilled, and we just don't know each other, and we can just throw down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
how did your parents react since your mom already didn't want you to go to the military? How did she react to you then telling her, you know what, it didn't work out for the second time now?
You know what? They were supportive though.
Mm-hmm.
They were supportive after actually. So let's go back to boot camp, right? When I graduate, and guess who shows up in like my son's a Marine, the flag, the hat.
Yeah.
Like my mom was like the biggest like
supporter.
Bandwagoner. I call her bandwagoner because like it's like
prior she was like, no, don't do it, blah blah blah, and then now, but I mean, that's my son, so I'm supporting.
Yeah, and understandably, I mean, like, what do all mothers want? They just want the best for the kids, you know. Like, if you tell your mom, like, hey, mom, I'm gonna go to war, she's like, what the, like, yeah,
she doesn't think that's the best for you because that's what her perspective is.
Exactly, you know, so it's understandable, but she was supportive and she was very helpful and understanding.
So with the military, is there anything that you got from the military that you felt really you didn't need? Like, you know, from I guess the perspectives and stuff that you got from the military, it's like, well, maybe I really didn't need that. 'Cause I'm sure there's tons of what you learned from the military that you can incorporate to your life now.
Yeah. So something I think the military doesn't do a good job of, and I think that a lot of people struggle with, especially the guys who do more than 4 years, is they don't do a good job of integrating you back into society.
I was just gonna ask you, like, when you go from that military life every day, like they have you scripted to basically think this way.
Yeah.
But now, obviously, when you get back home, that's not the same.
Yeah, and it's dumb things. Like, I lived on base the whole time, so I didn't have an actual apartment. I didn't even know what a lease was until I'm like 27 years old.
Because with you living on base, everything's taken care of.
Yeah, everything's taken care of. You know, and like you never, like, normal adult shit that you would think of like second nature for most people who's like grown up outside the military. Like, you stay in longer than 4 years, and all of a sudden now you're like this like big kid. Because I went from 18 to 27, right? So then I wasn't a real person until I was 27 years old. So it's like, man, like there's this huge chunk of time where like you've missed out on a lot of adult things that are supposed to be kind of like implicit as you grow up.
Right.
So I think that realization didn't hit it until like maybe a year or two after. I'm like, why do I feel so behind? Why do I like, do people know these things? Am I dumb? Like, what's going on?
Because like everything was taken care of for you.
Exactly.
I didn't have to worry about, damn, when is rent due?
Yeah. Little dumb things like that.
Shit, wait, is the water about to be turned off? Like all those things, like I didn't have to worry about it because everything is taken care of. I just have to live and do my job, and they're taking care of it.
Exactly. You know, and then and not just that, like, you know, they want you to be very professional at all times, you know, so it's like no fraternization, don't hang out with your people and stuff. And
that's really not real life though.
Exactly. You know, because then that kind of affects your ability to be social.
It's like I have to be like this every time. It's like, no, you don't.
Oh man, it took me so long.
You can chill.
It took me so long to get out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ironically, it wasn't until like I started smoking weed and like experimenting with psychedelics where I really was able to shed that identity and start to come into my own.
Right. So you said like once you got around to 27, what was that like then? Now I'm thrown back into the regular world and now I have to figure out everything to do.
It was weird, man. Honestly, like, and I think a lot of guys do struggle with this, and maybe they just don't talk about it because, you know, military people,
macho,
like,
you gotta have everything together.
The thing they say in the military is FITFO, right? Figure it the fuck out. No one cares. Work harder.
Okay.
Right. So it's like, yeah, you kind of have that mentality, and so you don't want to, like, you're really reluctant to reach out. And, you know, it took a minute, but eventually I just found some bearing, found some traction. And I think one of the big things that helped was like, okay, what am I good at? You know, and understanding that, like, okay, even though I had this experience within the military, I needed to double down on the things I did well, because those are marketable assets, right? Because in the military, you're kind of given a role and then you're expected to provide value in that role. So like, it's pretty easy. Color in the lines, you know, do your job. You're a good dude, right? Out here, it's a variable. You have to figure that out. What are you good at?
Right.
How do you market yourself? How do you give value in society, right? Because that will ultimately determine that value actually has a number, and that's your salary, right? That's how much income you make. If we think about it, how much value I have in society will also directly correlate to how much money I'm making.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that part, that bridging of the skills and like how to connect it. Like you ever see that meme where it's like step 1, step 2, step 3 question mark, and then step 4 is profit.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Like I was stuck at step 3. I was like question mark. I was like, I don't know. Profit's number 4, but I don't know what the fuck to do.
How am I get that profit?
Yeah, how do I get to that part?
Yeah. So what helped you find your value?
Trust. I had this like really intense mushroom trip, and I spoke to the universe, and it's like I was like, well, what am I? I'm a teacher. What am I good at? I'm good at teaching. And when I thought about it, yeah, that makes sense. Like I taught in the military, and I felt like I was really talented at that. And teaching is its skill in and of its own, right? The same way that like podcasting is a skill, the same way working a camera is a skill. You name it. Teaching is its own skill,
right?
And so I had a lot of experience doing that. It's like, you know what? I believe I'm good at this. I can do this, and man, I think about a year or two later after that, here I am. And like teaching here at Alliance, like it's such a huge honor. It's such a huge privilege, because literally like the guys behind us right now, those are all like multiple time world champions. Like the people at this gym are like multiple time world champions. Professor Johnny has done, you name it, right? He's fought in mixed martial arts. He's competed at the highest levels of jiu-jitsu. A lot of the guys that have come through this school have like all the accolades, in mixed martial arts, in jiu-jitsu, gi and no gi. That trophy right there is a world title that we won back in November.
Right.
So the Alliance team as a whole, and then our gym in particular, because we had a majority of the black belts competing, like we won that on like a big national level.
That was a big scale.
So like we're not just like Alliance Jiu-Jitsu team is not just like the best school like in the world, right? But like this gym in particular, no, we're the best school like on the West Coast right now. So it's pretty cool. So to be here, it's like
you're a part of that.
Yeah,
you're helping develop that.
Exactly. And so it's like, but then it's also like, okay, that's the standard I got to carry, and I love it. Like anytime I get to teach, like that's the standard I'm trying to uphold, because that's the guys who brought me up.
Right.
Yeah.
How was it like for you with your first like actual setup fight?
It wasn't too bad. So like my fighting has been up and down just because of injuries. I have this gnarly scar on my leg.
Yeah, I actually seen it on Instagram. I was going to ask you what happened there, but I'm sure that you could touch on that.
Yeah, we'll get to it. So I started with jiu-jitsu. Started just doing jiu-jitsu tournaments, and then from there, I met my striking coach. It was Alex Palma, and the guy at the time was like, he was the man. Right? Like your favorite fighter, Alex probably worked with him. A lot of the coaches in San Diego worked with him. And he had the Black House Team Noguera gym down the road back when it used to be there. And he was the head coach. And when it came to striking, like this guy was a genius. Like he understood, like if you could take like a university level on striking, kickboxing, Muay Thai,
right,
he would be your professor.
Right.
And unfortunately, kids say no to drugs, especially meth. Just, the downfall of him was because of that. I think he just met some wrong people, and it was a downhill spiral.
Right.
So, but before that happened, I got to have him, at his best. And I got to learn a lot. And he is the guy who definitely put me on the path to make me believe that I could do striking. Because in the military, like I was familiar with kickboxing, Muay Thai, boxing, but it's a very rudimentary style, right? They're not very refined. A lot of it was like, hey, how do I get better at my punches or my kicks? Like, I don't know, just hit harder. You know,
so it was more so about how hard you're hitting,
yeah,
rather than the technical aspect of it, or the angle you coming in, or pivoting the hit here, like this, like that. So it was more so, no, just hit them harder.
Exactly. So there was no real instruction. So like my mechanics was okay, but my understanding of the game was way off. And what I come to find out later is that striking, well, martial arts in general, but martial arts parallels, let's say combat sport. Combat sport parallels combat, like crazy accurate. Like all the things that I learned in the military in terms of like strategy, planning, all that stuff. Once I got with him, I started seeing like how they correspond. And so then like my ability was called like develop like my fighter IQ just skyrocketed. And so like it helped take like all these years of kind of like this unrefined training and then actually like polish it.
It was like, oh, now I see how that actually correlates, and I can use this with that.
Yeah. And then I've just been so fortunate to meet like some of like the coolest people like in the game, like some of the coaches up in LA, the guys who are coaching like the professional fighters right now, got to work with them. A lot of my peers are fighting professionally. A lot of them are doing super good. So it's cool to like be around that community, you know? And seeing all that and being around those people gave me the confidence to be like, okay, you know what? If I can hang with these people, I can definitely do this.
Right.
And so then I started competing in like kickboxing tournaments. I did a couple in-ring fights. My last Muay Thai fight was the USMTO. That was like 2019. And then I did an MMA fight here in San Diego. And then I got this crazy freak injury. I won't go into like too much detail, but essentially the short and sweet of it is that I created a condition where the blood could not circulate out of my leg. And so the doctors had to cut it open to alleviate the pressure because my leg was like swelled up for like 2 days at that time. And it was starting to compress on the nerves, and it was starting to like make it so like the muscle tissue itself was dying because no fresh blood was coming in or out. And so that was a trip. And so like for 12 days.
Did you think you're gonna lose your leg?
I didn't think I was gonna lose my leg, but I was pretty fucking upset.
Yeah.
Like it was actually really bad. Like I remember like when I finally broke and I was like, okay, I'm calling the ambulance. Like I'm just like in excruciating pain. I'm in shock because like I can tell like I just go full survival. I'm okay. Like if you don't move right now, you're gonna die. Yeah. And so like I crawled out of my bed at like 2 a.m. and I'm like hobbling through the hallway, and I'm like, get to the front. I call 911. I can barely talk because I'm so much pain. Yeah. You know, and the firefighters get there, and luckily like they're around the corner because that's where the fire station was. Yeah. And so they show up and they're trying to talk to me, like it fucking hurts. And, you know, eventually they shoot me with drugs and I calm down. I'm like, oh, okay, this is what happened, blah, blah, blah. I did this, I did that. I think this is what's happening. And they're like, okay, cool. They take me to the ER. And then when I get to the ER, I get situated. The doctor comes in, he takes his giant like needle gun, he sticks it in my leg.
That already sound goddamn scary with the goddamn
needle gun.
Yeah, it was
a giant needle gun. Yeah. Like he just stabbed it in my leg. I'm like, all right, cool. Guess that's happening. Yeah. And he looks at it, he has this like really concerned look, and he's like, I'll be right back. And he goes back, like, he gets another doctor. And I'm thinking, whatever, like I'll just give some drugs, I'll be all right. And he comes back with another doctor, and this doctor is a little more cranky, older gentleman. Okay. And he's like, hey man, we gotta operate. I'm like, come again? Like, no, sir, like it's cool, just give me some drugs, I'm pretty sure it'll go away, blah, blah, blah. I'm protesting. And he's like, no. He takes the gun and he like jams it in my leg.
He's like, no, I'm telling you.
Yeah. And he pulls it, and like my leg is like, it's so swollen, it like squirts out blood. Like
right in front of you.
Yeah, it's like boom. And then like when he pulled it out, it was like psst, like a little blood squirt. So then he pulls it out and he's like, no, you see this number? He's like, what does that say? I'm like, it says 80. And he's like, yeah, it's not supposed to be above 35. And I guess that was like, it measures the pressure within the internal pressure within your body or something. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, okay, fine. what
okay.
else? Yeah.
What else now? Convince me.
So then he starts to explain, is like, no, dude, like you're gonna start losing your leg. Like the nerves don't have any oxygen. He explains the whole situation. I'm like, fuck. And next thing you know, I'm like signing fucking paperwork, and I'm like, God damn it. And then within a matter of moments, I'm in the OR, and I'm like going to sleep, and I wake up with this giant like Ziploc thing on my leg, and it has a suction, right? So they like saran wrap my leg. They put this little suction device, and my leg is filleted open like a
goddamn fresh steak.
Yeah, like a fresh steak for 12 days while I'm laying in the hospital.
Shit.
Yeah, man. And honestly, like that kind of like that definitely set me back. I really wasn't sure like if I was gonna keep pursuing this or not. I know like my mom was not happy at all. And then I think after I recovered, that's when the pandemic happened. You know,
and they even gave you more time off.
They gave me some more time off, but man, guess what? As soon as I got those stitches out, I was back to training. I could not stay away.
Oh, I gotta be here.
I could not stay away, you know, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna fight again. But then I was really fortunate to meet some other, like there's this moment like back then before everyone kind of split up.
Right.
We had this like sick group of like fighters.
It was like a brotherhood.
Yeah, like we had this like Ronin, this group of Ronins just kind of came together, and we had a really sick team for a while. And being with them was like, you know what? No, I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because like those guys were like already professionals. You know, they're going places.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so it's like, you know what? No, I can do this. Like it would be a disservice to myself if I quit
now.
Yeah. And so I was at that point, it's like, okay, we're gonna get back in shape, we're gonna prepare, and we're gonna fight again.
Mm-hmm.
And so then my first fight coming off that injury since all that was last May, and that was a loss. You know, I went against this really tough wrestler kid, and
do you feel it was due to injury with you coming back?
No, the guy's sick. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Like the guy, like he's going places. Like
right.
the guy just won this like amateur like Pan American title. Mm-hmm. He's about to go to Dubai and win the Worlds. Like this kid's going places.
Yeah,
you know. And so like I don't mind, like if you're a fighter, like losing happens, right? It doesn't mean that you're, I don't know, any less. Yeah, any less. It's just like that's just part of the game, man.
You took an L.
Yeah, like your best fighters are gonna lose.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you name your favorite fighter, they probably lost. It just is what it is. You have to be willing to risk that in order to do this sport.
Right.
You know, if you're not willing to risk it, then like you probably don't belong in the sport because your ego's too frail to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so as long as I give my best, I'm happy. You know, and so same with like my other MMA fight before that. So before the accident, I had my first MMA fight, and the guy I went against, you know, we had a fucking scrap. I wish I had the video. I don't know where it is, but like it was a good scrap. I thought I had edged out. He thought he had edged out. I think it was like a split decision and went his way. And now we're like friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so like we've trained together multiple times. Cool dude. He's fighting professionally now, right? A lot of the guys I've competed with, I usually stay in contact because like this is just amateur. Some people take the amateurs like really personal, but I see this as a way to network because eventually we're gonna go pro and we're gonna want those connections so we can help each other out because you want those top tier people available, you know. And then my last fight recently, earlier in November, you know, I won by, you know, first round knockout.
Oh, damn.
So, you know, it's one of those things where if you want something, you're going to have multiple failures. You're not going to get it right away. Same thing with like the whole special forces gig. I didn't get it right away. You know, it took years of preparation to get there. And so what I tell my students, what I tell people in general is that martial arts hammers that lesson in thoroughly. You know, you hear a lot how like martial arts teaches you about life and all these like cool like virtues and characteristics. Yeah, it does it because the lessons become very tangible. You know, when you go out and you put yourself in front of a whole city, you know, and you go fight and you lose, like it's going to test your resolve. But when you win, it's also going to show you that your determination, that your resiliency, that your strength of character, your fortitude, all of that is what's going to help you get through life, because it's not just for fighting. That's for anything, right? Relationships are hard. Work is hard. Having kids are hard. Podcasts are hard, you know,
just life, period.
Life in general. So it gives us a medium for us to learn these lessons so that we can transfer the skill into other aspects of our lives, you know, and that's one of the big things of why I do what I do, because I believe deeply that is ultimately what martial arts is for. You know, is it cool to like choke people and like do jiu-jitsu and punch and kick? Absolutely. I fucking love it. But like the life lessons you get are going to help ultimately shape you to be a better person, you know?
And did you initially get into martial arts? Was it more so like a protection thing, or was just something you were more intrigued in?
Oh, it's a protection thing, because I didn't get to really get into it until I was in the military. And like, you know, at the time we were in a state of war. So I'm like, I need to know how to fucking fight. I don't want some fucking like dude from Afghanistan like punking me just because I don't know how to throw a punch.
Right.
You know what I mean? And even though you don't hear about it, there's just one story that I would always tell my Marines. It was about this guy named Cliff Woodridge, and they were doing a patrol. They get in contact. They go chase the enemy down, and homeboy pulls up around one of the compounds, and he gets to a wall, and he sees like a muzzle sticking out. He has a machine gun, but he's on empty. So instead of trying to reload, he grabs this fucker's muzzle, pulls him out, takes his gun, and beats him with it. And he got a silver star for that.
God damn.
Yeah, right?
That's crazy.
That's fucking intense, right? So it's like, I was like, okay, like in that scenario, I need to be Cliff. There's no way I'm not going to,
because like you said, he didn't have
fight.
any reload, nothing. It's like, this is all I got.
Yeah. And so he just grabbed that motherfucker and just, bro. So it's just like, yeah, over there, it was very real.
Because you fighting for your life.
Exactly. So you had to know your shit.
There is no ref to be like, hey, get off him.
Exactly.
That's it.
Right? So you need to know your shit. And so that's what drew me in initially. And then I strayed away from it to do the whole special forces thing. And then after special forces, it came back.
Right.
And then that put me back on the trajectory where I end up here.
Right. And how long have you been here?
Johnny opened like 2015. Yeah, like 8 years now. What, just 3, 4? So, okay, no, like 7 years. Yeah. And
do you plan on staying here, or is there like, I want to get my own gym? What's the end goal for you?
I think at some point, definitely have my own space. But until then, like, I am more than happy, you know, being under the mentorship of the people we have here.
Right, because you're continuing to learn as well.
Yeah.
And that's coming with you, even getting your own space. You're still learning as to working here, what you can do with that.
Exactly. And it's not just like being able to like get reps teaching classes, you know, because that's, like I said, it's a skill set in itself, but also developing my own game, being around these guys who are, you know, super high up in the jiu-jitsu, you know, skill set. And then to learn the business, right? Because not only is it like, hey, come to our school to teach martial arts, what we also do is we create a community. You know, this place, if you come here during the day, you see all the kids, you see all the parents, this is a community. And you have to foster and build that community if you want the business to grow.
Right.
So it's like, there's many different aspects to running a successful gym. And the more time I spend here as a coach, I start to catch on to those things.
Right.
And it's helping me tremendously.
That's what's up. Yeah. Like you said, like you're learning from this every day. So like that's and you love doing it. So that's another thing. So with that, I was just gonna ask, what is one of your favorite aspects to jiu-jitsu?
My favorite.
I remember you said is striking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love striking. I love jiu-jitsu. When it comes to jiu-jitsu to me feels more like it's like a game, right? And what the game we're playing is who can put the other person in a bad position, right? And so like when the ultimate goal of jiu-jitsu is to get a submission, right? And if we look at it from a sport perspective, the submission comes in two forms. It comes in the form of a joint lock, or it comes in the form of a choke, right? So either I make a part of your body bend the way it's not supposed to bend,
Mhm.
or I find a way to strangle your neck, either with my arms, my legs, with your uniform, and I find a way to cut the blood circulation off,
Mhm.
right? And so that's the game we're playing. And then from there, then we have all these different positions and all these different scenarios and all these different techniques, right? And that's where the water gets really deep. And that's one of the things I really like about jiu-jitsu, because it gives you that ability just to kind of like have your own creativity,
Mhm.
and you find your own path to the submission.
Right.
Right. And for me, that's one of the things I really like about it, because it's so deep, and to help people navigate those waters and teach them like, hey, you can go from here to there, and this connects to that, and this connects to this, right? You see the lights go off, and you're like,
They're
oh,
like,
this is
"Oh,
so cool.
shit."
Yeah. And all of a sudden you're able to make them see it the way you see it,
Mhm.
in that love, that passion.
And that's fulfilling within itself.
Yeah, man.
It's like you gave somebody a gift that before it was like,
Yeah.
I don't really like doing this. But now it's like you showed me, oh, I could go from here to this. I'm like, oh, shit.
And then in time, all those other aspects come in, right? The character, the virtue, the strength, the physicality of it, right?
Mhm.
Right? People have changed. I've seen a lot of people who come in here like little overweight, right? They start training, they get in shape, and it changes their life dramatically. People who maybe weren't a part of a community are now part of a community,
Mhm.
So like that's definitely one of the aspects I truly love about it.
Yeah. And you're able to like you just basically said, like you're able to give somebody a gift. I think I read something on your Instagram. You said something like something you're doing with their body to, it was a saying you had there.
Oh yeah.
And I don't want to mess it up.
Yeah, I build confident minds through competent bodies.
There you go. It was that. And when I said, I was like, oh damn, that was kind of like what you just now touched on right now. You kind of brought them into being a part of the community now.
Yeah.
For sure. So shit, while I still got you on here, is there anything else that you anybody wanted to shoot out? I mean, give a shout out to your social medias, the gym, anything you wanted to do before I get you off here.
Yeah. Everyone who's watching this podcast, if you are interested in trying martial arts, please come check us out. We're here in Miramar. It's Alliance Jiu-Jitsu San Diego. You can hit me up, GeoMayor13 on Instagram. I love this. I live for this. So if you're curious, if you're interested, please check us out. I would love to share a lot of the same passion I have for this, and try to give it to you. And other than that, no, man, thank you for having me. This is super cool. I really enjoyed it, and just being able to like share my story a little bit, and hopefully inspire some people.
Definitely, that's the goal.
Yeah, because that's all it is. Everyone has their own unique path, and once we recognize that I have a unique path and you have a unique path and they have a unique path, right? The uniqueness is what humanizes us and makes us more relatable.
Exactly.
And makes us as a community come together, because now we see the self in others, and that self is the uniqueness that we all have.
Exactly. And as unique as it is, that's like you just said, that makes you more relatable, because it's like I can relate to that uniqueness. So now hopefully I'm about to get put in a couple of chokeholds and some submissions. It's not too hard, but let's see how this goes. So this has been another episode of the BiGG Umbrella Podcast. That's big with 2 G's. I'm gonna repeat that. That's big with 2 G's, and it's a wrap. There we go.
Sick.
Well, let's get some tacos, nigga. Can we really get some tacos? You trying to get some tacos? Let's get some tacos, nigga.